What if the moment the world finally turned on Meghan Markle didn't happen in a palace, didn't happen in a courtroom, but exploded right in the middle of live American television while millions watched and laughed? Because that's exactly what happened. And the sound of that laughter might have been the loudest signal yet that the carefully crafted image of Meghan Markle is no longer holding together.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince and current river corpse, has been arrested and now may be banned from ever taking the throne. In fact, the royal family said the only way he can become king is if it comes down to either him or Meghan.
Why aren't they pushing this nuclear button and just let the world know about Meghan Markle?
All they had to do was shut up and do nothing. And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were probably going to get their best news cycle in years, because we know deep down they want to bring down the British royal family.
Here it comes. Reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return.
Andrew's confiding to friends about the not-so-secret relationship with him and Meghan Markle, and this is why Prince Harry wants to end the marriage, and is so disgusted he can barely touch his woman.
Since you like that, here's another. Electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why isn't he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
And Meghan are back at it again, being disaster tourists, because apparently they have nothing better to do than waste government time and resources, in this case for the country of Jordan and the WHO and UN's time.
Organization, the government of Jordan and others are making here is enormously appreciated. So thank you for coming. Why is a British ambassador welcoming them on a visit when Meghan Markle has trashed everything, and Harry, about the British government?
There's some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time. There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
The sweet Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it.
Can highlight the mucky murkiness and mendacious manner of this alleged yacht girl. According to her,
one person who I think has been really happy about all of this is Prince Andrew.
Yeah, boy.
The one person who I think has been really happy about all of this is Prince Andrew. I'm guessing that he has been nudging the royal family. Can you believe what Meghan did, huh? Can you believe it?
And just like that, the illusion cracked. For years, Meghan Markle built a narrative so polished it almost felt untouchable. The courageous outsider, the misunderstood duchess, the woman who supposedly challenged a centuries-old institution and walked away stronger. That narrative was repeated in documentaries, interviews, speeches, and glossy magazine profiles. But something strange started happening recently. The jokes began, and not quiet ones whispered in tabloids. These were loud, brutal, public, the kind delivered on the stage of one of the most powerful cultural platforms in entertainment, Saturday Night Live. For years, that show leaned sympathetic toward Harry and Meghan. The monarchy was the villain, the press the aggressor, and the couple the victims. That was the tone. That was the story. Until suddenly, it wasn't. Because once SNL decides someone is the punchline, the cultural tide has already turned. And when that first joke landed, people didn't gasp. They laughed.
Royal family said the only way he can become king is if it comes down to either him or Meghan.
Oh my God, there's so many things to unpack in that joke. First of all, the groans are brutal.
Down to either him or Meghan.
It's like they don't want to laugh, but they do, because then, listen, they laugh. They're not that bad, sorry, but they know that was brutal. That's because again, it's like the only way he'll be king royal is if it's him or Meghan. They still would say no to Meghan.
Listen carefully to what that moment meant. The joke wasn't just a throwaway punchline. It carried a brutal underlying message that everyone in that room instantly understood. Comedy only works when the audience already believes the premise. If the audience doesn't agree, the joke dies in silence. But this one exploded, which means the writers knew something. The producers knew something. The audience felt something. The cultural temperature had shifted. And Meghan Markle, once treated as untouchable, had suddenly become fair game.
I applaud a joke like this because, to me, Meghan and Harry are the fakest and most disingenuous people. They have such an entitlement. They have so much privilege. And for what? I'm so sick of it. I know you guys are you sick of it?
Two jokes, two separate nights. both going viral within hours, and coming from a show that had previously defended the Sussex narrative for years. That's not random, that's a signal. When institutions like that begin roasting you publicly, it means something deeper has changed behind the scenes. People who study culture for a living, writers, producers, media insiders, had clearly read the room, and the message they read was simple. Meghan Markle is no longer the victim. She's the punchline. And once that shift happens, publicists can't reverse it. Now the obvious question becomes, why now? Why did everything seem to collapse so quickly? Because the truth is, the walls didn't start closing in from one direction. They started collapsing from every side at once. Critics who once stayed quiet suddenly began speaking openly. Commentators started questioning the carefully managed image that had surrounded Meghan for years, and the conversation shifted from sympathy to skepticism. Some voices went even further, accusing her entire public life of being built on carefully orchestrated relationships, strategic networking, and connections to powerful figures long before Prince Harry ever entered the picture. And suddenly, the internet started digging. Before the Duchess title, before Netflix, before the empowerment speeches, there was Rachel Meghan Markle, actress, lifestyle blogger, a woman who, for someone at her level of fame, seemed to move effortlessly in very powerful circles. That's where one of the most controversial whispers resurfaced, the yacht allegations. For years, these claims lived on the edges of internet speculation. Quiet rumors suggesting that before meeting Prince Harry, Meghan had spent time aboard luxury yachts owned by extremely wealthy and influential men, not as a tourist, but as what insiders in certain elite circles quietly call a companion. Proven? No. But increasingly discussed? Absolutely. And the reason those whispers refuse to disappear comes down to one explosive detail. Virginia Roberts, one of the central figures in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, reportedly wanted Meghan Markle called as a witness during legal proceedings, not randomly, because she believed Meghan had direct knowledge of some of the same social circles connected to Epstein and Prince Andrew. That alone raises uncomfortable questions. Why would someone building a humanitarian brand have knowledge of those particular gatherings? No one has ever answered that question. And the more the internet revisits Meghan's past, the more strange connections people believe they're finding. Old blog posts from Meghan's lifestyle site The Tig once described mysterious invitations to glamorous events hosted by powerful figures. At the time, those stories sounded aspirational, the kind of fairy tale networking common in Hollywood. But now, readers are looking at those same posts differently. The tone feels less innocent, more strategic, because Meghan didn't just wander into powerful circles. She climbed through them, one connection at a time. Even her entry into the royal family is now being re-examined. Former acquaintances have claimed she had a vision board with Prince Harry's photo on it before she ever met him. According to people who knew her first husband, Meghan was far more aware of the royal family than she later admitted publicly, which contradicts one of the most famous lines from the Oprah interview, when she claimed she had done virtually no research about Prince Harry or the monarchy before marrying him. That claim alone raised eyebrows around the world, because the idea that an American actress marrying into the British royal family never Googled Prince Harry sounded unbelievable. And as these questions multiply, one thing about Meghan's response has shocked even longtime observers. Silence. No statement, no denial, no lawsuits, nothing. This is the same woman who once sued a British newspaper over the publication of a personal letter, someone known for responding quickly and aggressively whenever her reputation was challenged. Yet on these swirling rumors, silence. And silence from someone whose entire brand revolves around speaking out doesn't feel dignified. It feels calculated, as if a team behind the scenes is trying to figure out which fire to extinguish first. Because while the internet revisits Meghan's past, something else is happening in the present. The Sussex brand itself appears to be quietly unraveling. Their charitable foundation, once promoted as a global force for change, has reportedly downsized dramatically. Staff reductions, restructuring, and questions about funding have created the impression of an organization struggling to maintain the image it once projected. Yet at the same time, Meghan and Harry continue appearing in carefully staged humanitarian visits across the world, photo opportunities, public appearances, moments designed to look royal without actually being royal. And that contradiction is becoming harder to ignore, because if the foundation is collapsing behind the scenes, the carefully staged public images start looking less like charity and more like performance. But the most explosive piece of this entire puzzle may involve someone the royal family would rather never discuss again: Prince Andrew. And the uncomfortable question people online are now asking is this: what exactly happened between Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew long before she ever met Prince Harry? Because if the first half of this story sounded explosive, the second half is where things start to look genuinely unsettling. unraveling. Because somewhere in the background of all these swirling rumors, one man is reportedly watching everything unfold with what insiders describe as quiet amusement: Prince Andrew. Yes, that Prince Andrew, the royal whose disastrous BBC interview became one of the most catastrophic moments in modern royal history. The man whose association with Jeffrey Epstein destroyed his public reputation, stripped him of his royal duties, and pushed him into a life of near total exile. A man so disgraced that even mentioning his name once sent the royal family scrambling into crisis mode. And yet, somehow, he has now become part of Meghan Markle's story. Because the rumors connecting Andrew and Meghan didn't start yesterday. They go back years, long before Meghan became a duchess, long before the royal wedding that captivated the world, long before Netflix deals and billion-dollar media narratives, back when Meghan was simply an actress navigating elite social circles in search of the next opportunity. And here's the uncomfortable detail that has resurfaced again and again. There are photographs, old photographs, images showing a young Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew appearing at the same social events, moving within the same high society circles, long before Prince Harry ever entered the picture. Those images alone wouldn't mean much if they were just casual encounters. Hollywood actors cross paths with powerful figures all the time, but critics claim these interactions were not random. According to people close to Andrew's social circle, Meghan was far more familiar with those elite environments than the public was ever led to believe. Which brings us back to the same haunting question. Why would the mainstream media, who spent years investigating Prince Andrew in microscopic detail, show almost zero curiosity about the alleged connection between him and Meghan Markle? Why investigate one half of the equation relentlessly, but ignore the other half entirely? That silence has fueled speculation like gasoline on a fire. Because if there truly was a connection between Meghan and Andrew before Prince Harry, it would completely reshape the narrative surrounding how Meghan entered the royal orbit. And that narrative, the carefully crafted story of an outsider stumbling innocently into the monarchy, is the foundation of her entire brand. But as the internet keeps pulling at threads from her past, the image begins to unravel in unexpected ways. Meanwhile, the present-day reality surrounding Meghan and Harry appears increasingly chaotic. Their charity empire, once marketed as a global humanitarian force, has quietly shrunk to almost nothing. Staff members gone, programs disappearing, funding questions emerging. The Archewell Foundation, once introduced as the couple's grand philanthropic platform, now looks hollow compared to the ambitious promises that surrounded its launch. And yet, somehow, the Sussexes continue staging international visits that resemble official royal tours. But there's one major difference. They're not official. No palace approval, no government coordination. Just Harry and Meghan arriving in foreign countries, cameras ready, presenting themselves as humanitarian figures carrying royal prestige. One recent trip in particular raised eyebrows across the world. Jordan. On the surface, it looked like a typical Sussex appearance, visiting hospitals, refugee camps, and youth centers while delivering speeches about global health and compassion. But behind the polished photographs, critics began asking uncomfortable questions. Who authorized this trip? Who funded it? And who exactly were Harry and Meghan representing? Because while they carried royal titles everywhere they went, they were no longer working royals, which created a strange diplomatic gray zone. Then, things got even more complicated. During the visit, Prince Harry reportedly made statements about the Gaza conflict that drew sharp criticism from Israeli officials. One senior government representative publicly rebuked him, inviting the Duke of Sussex to visit humanitarian corridors himself before repeating what they called false narratives. Think about that moment. A member of the British royal family using titles still connected to the monarchy being publicly corrected by a foreign government on a trip that had no official royal approval. Suddenly, this wasn't celebrity gossip anymore. It was a diplomatic problem. And all of it traces back to one lingering issue the palace has refused to resolve. That contrast is impossible for audiences to ignore because no press release can explain it. No publicist can spin it. It's simply a human story. And people instinctively understand the difference between image and sincerity. Meanwhile, Prince Harry increasingly appears like a man caught in the middle of a storm he may only now fully understand. He gave up everything. His royal duties, his military role, his country, his relationship with his brother, friends who had been part of his life since childhood. All of it disappeared as the Sussex narrative grew more controversial. Even before the wedding, people close to Harry had warned him. Prince William reportedly urged him to slow down. Friends expressed concern about how quickly the relationship was moving. Even Meghan's own half-brother wrote an open letter urging Harry to reconsider. But none of those warnings mattered. Harry chose Meghan, and now many observers believe he's beginning to realize the cost, because every public appearance seems to show the same thing. A man who looks increasingly uncomfortable, increasingly isolated, increasingly unsure, which brings us back to that Snell joke, the one that started this entire avalanche. Because comedy sometimes reveals cultural truths faster than journalism, and that joke delivered a brutal message in a single sentence. It suggested the royal family would rather place Prince Andrew on the throne than Meghan Markle, not because Andrew is respected, but because Meghan's reputation has fallen that far. The audience laughed, and in that laughter, something irreversible happened. Because once a public figure becomes the joke, the permission structure changes. People who stayed silent begin speaking. Critics who held back start pushing harder. Questions that once sounded outrageous suddenly become mainstream. And that's exactly what's happening now. The yacht rumors are resurfacing. The Andrew photographs are circulating again. The charity foundation appears hollow. The diplomatic controversies are on record. The family fractures are visible. And somewhere behind the scenes, the most disgraced royal in modern history is reportedly watching everything unfold, smiling quietly. Which leaves one final question hanging in the air. What exactly does Prince Andrew know about Meghan Markle's past? And how long before the rest of the world finds out? The rest of the world finds out.